Matt, I want to change gears a little bit because you've been great and gracious as a guest to come on to talk numerous times about the criminal prosecutions against President-elect Trump and as in his role as former president. Now the dynamic changes, and we're seeing, while the Jack Smith cases have not actually officially ended, we saw Smith pushing to vacate remaining deadlines. Where do you see this heading?
Yeah, these cases are going away. Obviously, Judge Cannon in Florida dismissed one of them because Jack Smith was not properly appointed, not to even mention the weakness of the underlying case. And the Washington, D.C. case obviously is coming to an end. Jack Smith tried to use these novel legal theories to go after President Trump, to interfere with the election and to try to change the narrative. And it didn't work. Obviously, the American people saw right through it. They issued their verdict resoundingly by electing Donald Trump president.
So for the layman at home watching, they hear this conversation, they're thinking, so are all of Trump's problems just simply going away now? Or is there a possibility of more hurdles down the road?
Yeah, I think in the interest of bringing this country together, not only should these Jack Smith cases be removed and be done in the federal courts, but you should also see the state prosecutions, whether it's Fulton County, which is probably going to suffer a devastating loss in the appeals court and go away. And I think obviously the New York City case that I was up and attended and spoke also needs to go away. The judge has a hearing on this immunity question. I think he's got to dismiss that case as well. And again, the American people want Donald Trump to be successful, and having these types of cases that are frivolous and weak should be dismissed and no longer be a problem.
You raised New York, and you were there, but it looks like Letitia James isn't backing down. So the question you're talking about is whether Trump will now have immunity from that prosecution because he will be the sitting president. Is that how I understand it?
Yeah, Griff, two interesting points. Letitia James' case is the civil case, and that's under appeal. The hearing did not go well for Attorney General James. The appeals court looked at that and thought that the fines were way excessive and are most likely going to issue an opinion that makes that case much less serious. And then on the New York criminal case, where you're seeing the appeals court has not heard that case yet, but you fully expect that once it winds its way through the appeals court, that will also really fall on its own weight, because it was such a weak case, and the theories that I saw firsthand as I sat behind President Trump were just so ridiculous and inconsistent with the system of justice that I know.
All right. You can see we have been chyroning you during this entire interview, Matt, as former acting Attorney General, your name on the short list to be the incoming Attorney General. Will you be ready to serve if called upon, and have you had any conversations to that end?
Yeah, that's 100% up to Donald Trump, who won this election with a majority of the popular vote. The Department of Justice needs serious attention. We need to get back to the rule of law, the basic blocking and tackling of violent crime and national security interests. And President Trump's going to need somebody that's strong, that knows the Department of Justice, knows that building, and from day one can implement the necessary changes to make sure that the Department of Justice works on behalf of the American people.
If he calls upon you, are you ready to take that job?
I want President Trump to be successful. And so if he thinks that I can be a part of his success, I would serve, but I am certainly going to wait for him to make his decisions, because he's the one that won the presidency.
Former Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker, always great insight. Thank you, sir.